the Florida statute states that if you have been advised that the sewer is available, you would have 12 months. Once you've been advised that sewer is becoming available, and that notice has gone out, you have 12 months to make arrangements to connect. It even allows for, you to pay up until the time that it's actually there and available. But they would pay a basic minimum sewer fee. Now, they don't pay any sewer fees at this time because they don't have sewer available at this time. But we have quite a few accounts throughout the city that have sewer available and have chosen to never connect. Maybe it wasn't available when they built their house and they put in a septic and they're like, no, I'm good, and they pay those places after a year, then they get assessed or had in the past because they have now a flat fee. They don't pay by their usage. They pay just a flat minimum sewer fee. And that's what will occur in time with these accounts. Because that is the Florida statutes.
What
their goal is to get people off of septic tanks where it is affecting the water quality onto municipal sewer systems that manage the sewer better than, septic tanks.
And you've got this scenario as well that, like the people that are on septic but are paying the base fee, if there is sewer available and there's an issue with their septic tank, they need to redo their septic tank, rehab it or what have you. The Department of Health will permit it at that point because there is central sewer available to you, which would also be the case for these new areas in Second and Evelyn and on Duval and 105th. There certainly is a fee. I recognize that, and I know that's maybe not an easy fee to come by, but this is, if they're signing up now, this is paying for the sewer lateral from the central main to the right-of-way line, from the right-of-way line to the home, connecting the home up and abandoning that septic tank itself, which, based on the prices of the low bid contractor, that's $10,000 a connection, more or less, which could potentially be a burden of that property owner, homeowner, or renter, if that's the case. So there is a benefit to hooking up now, in that they're getting all of that paid for by the grant program.
Okay, but here's one question. Okay, this is a meeting. Here's my question. Now, so you sent the letters. I know Ms. Joanne sent the letters to the person who's the property, but who gets the deal?
I sent it to property owners, and I sent it also to the renters that have utility accounts. I sent them to both, so everybody was informed.
Correct. And now the thing is that those who are the person who owns the property, hey, we have property. Those of us who own property will say, hey, we want sewage. If you want to do this, and if not, it's going to go in your bill. That's not our issue, because you're the one who's renting the house. You're the one who has to pay the bill. So it's up to you. So now you're going to get to the situation where you're going to have lots of turnout. The bill's going to run high, and they're going to come up here and aggravate you, Ms. Joanne.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're the person who they're going to come see. And this is a problem that I foresee in the future, because I've been knocking on doors as well, trying to get people to come here to do the payment. One lady said, I'll just rather pay my own, pay it, whatever. Yeah, you say that, but now again, that you're working at Burger King, I don't want to see you come up with $1,500 all of a sudden. But maybe she has $1,500, I shouldn't judge. But the thing is that this is a burden. And so what year the impact fee came into existence? You have any idea?
1991.
19 what now?
1991.
1991?
Uh-huh.
Okay, because at least I can say that, because they're living, like they said, they've been here, and the nephew and the everybody lives here. Generations. Mm-hmm. And that's my concern, is that I look at what's going on over there, and my gosh, I'm saying, how are these people going to do this? I wish it was some way that the landowners, if we could say, let's tax the landowners and let them pay it. So these people who are struggling, and they're struggling, why can't they pay for this? Because it's not very fair for me to have to do this.
Well, at the very least, the property owner must sign the permission to enter the property. So that's why I sent the both. I wanted any tenant to know, not sometimes, you know, sometimes you don't know if it's a relative, a son, a daughter living on the land owner's property. But that's why we sent it, because we wanted the proper paperwork for actually entering the property, no matter who decided to pay it. And you know, I mean, I can't say how they worked out. I know I sent them early so people could do payment plans. I can't, predominantly the goal is that all payment plans are completed prior to actual connection, because, you know, that's gotta happen. But, you know, we're still taking some applications from people,
Still
but
working.
payment plans are shorter.
Still working.
Mhm,
The
we're
question,
still trying.
how many of the property owners have responded to you?
I'm gonna say we have between 12 and 14 signed and paid, or well, you know, well under their way to having it paid off.
Those weren't rentals, those were people who owned the
I
properties.
can tell you that it's a little bit of a mishmash, because I'm having to go through and really look close at all of it, but I'm not going to say that some renters aren't involved. I don't, you know, I haven't looked that close,
I've looked.
but I know they have renters. I know that owners paid, and there was a renter. That part I had noticed, but I don't, you know, and you could, like a landlord could say, well, this is going to improve my property, you know, overall, so I'll give you a discount on, you know, we'll work this out. I'll give you a discount on rent. I don't know what they do. I don't know what landlords do out there. We don't know what people have arranged, you know, within their own,
These were just some legit questions
you know,
that I wanted
yeah,
to put out there
it's
to
just
you.
possibilities.
Yeah, just some-
All right, so go to statute 9. All right, it's still not fair. Those folks over there have been there for years and years and years. And before impact fees, anything else brought in now.
There are a surprising pocket of areas around the city, all around, and we've tried to come up with some of those other pockets
We've
that, you
identified
know,
other
that we
areas
could
that-
try to do,
Correct.
you know, these kind of things with.
Well, it's costing folks now. It's costing them now versus what it costs the other folks, hardly nothing. It's costing these people that's getting on board now.
I
Impact fees,
don't
everything
have,
else.
I mean, you know, that was quite a long time ago, and even
Yeah.
the small amount that they might have had to pay back then was probably
Well.
a big amount to them.
But my
Because
thing
we all know how
is, the
inflation
city
is
omitted
now.
these people. They almost had leprosy on the island out there. That's my thing.
Okay,
So at this point, you need a motion, hopefully that would contain the contingencies, as I referenced earlier, relative to the two projects that we're talking.
To be clear, it's one project.
It's one project.
We just bid it out as base bid with an alternate to get the city that flexibility pending funding.
Can we include the ability for the city to fund the shortfalls through infrastructure or ARPA funds?
so
Just-
basically be a
Cover our
motion with the
budget.
contingency that we get the money.
Right.
And secondly, that the city would step,
For any
pay for
shortfall.
any shortfall.
Okay, so our city manager would make that motion, am I correct?
I can't make a motion.
That's right, you can't make a motion, I'm so
Now, I
sorry.
have a question on that. You told this
You
funds,
don't want to make a motion for us.
these funds,
Give us a
does that
little
take
back.
away from these other projects?
I don't believe it is.
You don't?
I gotta tell you, we had an engineering estimate for the costs of the Lincoln, Lewis, Taylor, and Richardson, and for the Maine and Ruby, but they are engineers' estimates, so till we actually put them out to bid, you know, we won't know how close those are, and it will also depend on how inflation goes. But we do have infrastructure funds. You all got the budget report, and we do have infrastructure funds. And, you know, we they are eligible for this kind of a project, and we, regardless of what, what with ARPA, and we are trying to make sure that we do get that
So
ARPA
that
money committed before December.
If that comes through, then you don't need to use funds.
Well, it looks like even if it
Project
comes
would be
through at this point,
I
we're
would- I would-
300,000 short.
Correct.
I don't
I-
want to say we're not.
I'm not gonna say, something certainly could happen, but I'm almost certain that 2.65 million, that's just paperwork is being processed to get an agreement to the city. That is just under process, that is underway. It's really the $298,000 that we're talking about.
Mhm.
That is the
Yes.
shortfall. And what Joanne is saying is that the city does have available ARPA funds that could potentially be available, or infrastructure funds, should we not be able to come up with some additional funding, grant funding through the water management district, which we are actively pursuing.
My thing is, as long as this doesn't take away from these projects that are been put off for years, that the biggest problem with the city, projects been put off for years on the infrastructure and all of that, because we throw money somewhere else to get something else done. That's my biggest issue. And what I'm hearing is that's just no problem.
You're talking approximately $300,000. Well, that I'm most concerned. The 2 million is, we're waiting on grant funding.
Like I said, I just don't.
I understand your point.
Well, I get
It's
that.
certainly the
I get
stuff
that.
we have completely up to
We
the
would
city.
bring
what to
it
do.
back to you if we were suddenly advised that that wasn't coming. How about that?
Well, we
You know,
put projects off,
That
projects
would be a
off.
good, because that's a lot. That's a big amount. We would bring that
Well,
back.
I'll
I think what Joanne is saying
Award
too
bid
is-
RFP 03-2024 septic and sewer contingent upon the approval from our city attorney, Swanee River Water Management District, FDEP, and then the execution of it. Also contingent upon us being able to access the shortfall amount of $298,361 with both FDEP grant monies and city ARPA funds.
Motion,
Second.
and we have a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Yes. Oh,
Can you have full everybody know, Mr. Chairman?
No, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Sessions, item C.
Number C, discussion of possible council action resolution 2024-06, resolution authorizing execution of memorandum of agreement with the State of Florida Department of Commerce, providing for implementation of the Rural Area of Opportunity, or the RAO.
Yeah, City Council Resolution number 2024-06, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Live Oak, Florida, authorizing the execution of a memorandum of agreement with the State of Florida Department of Commerce, providing for implementation of the Rural Area of Opportunity, RAO, providing for severability, providing for conflict, and providing an effective date.
Okay, resolution 2020-06, the recommendations from staff. The wishes of the board.
I offer motion to approve resolution 2024-06.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion carries. Item 6D.
All right, I'll let the attorney read this council action also.
City Council Resolution number 2024-05, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Live Oak, Florida, authorizing the execution of a contract for special counsel legal services with the Pravat Law Firm PL to advise counsel and represent the City of Live Oak Zoning Board of Adjustment and Planning and Zoning Board and such other matters as the city attorney is unavailable or unable to handle, providing for the appointment of the Pravat Law Firm PL and providing for an effective date. Just so the council know, Mr. Pravat's been assisting the city for many years without a formal contract. And so this is just putting it in the form of a contract, almost identical to the one that our two firms have with the city council.
And that's more just planning and zoning.
Yeah, he just, right now.
Okay, got the opportunity to read this in the packet. The wishes of council.
Offer motion to approve resolution 2024-05.
Okay, we have a motion. And we have a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And motion carries.
All right, number 80. Discussion possible council action final reading of ordinance 1510.
Ordinance number 1510, an ordinance of the city of Live Oak, Florida relating to public right-of-ways, making findings and vacating a segment of unimproved platted street right-of-way within the city of Live Oak, Florida, as follows: a portion of Horn Avenue by plat, 293 feet by 38 feet, bounded on the south by 8th Street Southwest, bounded on the north by 7th Street Southwest, bounded on the east by Block 4 of Fruitland Addition, and bounded on the west by Block 5 of Fruitland Addition, providing for recitals, conveyance, conflict, and an effective date. And since it's a final reading, Mr. President, you'll need to open a public hearing for comment.
Okay, this is ordinance 1510. It's the second reading. At this time, we'll open up public comment. And seeing none, we'll close public comment and ask for recommendation or motions from the board.
I'll offer motion to approve the final reading of ordinance 1510.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And ordinance 1510 passes.
All right, F, the final reading of ordinance 1511.
Ordinance number 1511, an ordinance of the city of Live Oak, Florida, amending Article 5, fences within Chapter 14, buildings and building regulations of the city of Live Oak Code of Ordinances, providing for codification, severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing an effective date. And again, it being a final reading, we open the public hearing.
Okay, this is ordinance 1511, the fence ordinance from, this is the second reading. At this time, we'll open it up to the, for discussion. Public comment. Seeing none, we'll close public comment.
Mr. President, I'll motion that we approve ordinance 1511.
We have a motion
Second.
and we have a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 1511 passes.
All right,
Item G.
First reading of ordinance 1512.
Ordinance number 1512, an ordinance of the city of Live Oak, Florida, amending the future land use classification to 2.403 acres more or less, small scale, on the future land use plan map of the city of Live Oak comprehensive plan pursuant to an application CPA 24-01 by the city council of the city of Live Oak under the amendment procedures established in sections 163.3161 through 163.3215 Florida statutes as amended, and Article 3 of the Land Development Regulations, providing for a change in the assigned future land use classification from commercial to residential moderate density on certain lands within the corporate limits of the city of Live Oak, Florida, providing severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict, providing authority, and providing an effective date.
Okay, this is the first reading of 1512. This time we'll open up for public comment. Does anyone have any public comment? Hearing none, we will
Mr.
close.
President, I want
Hold on. We'll close public comment and open to the board for motion. Okay, we have a motion
And a second.
and a second. Okay, at this time, we will open up for discussion.
I just want to hear from Mr. Curtis about this particular.
Good evening, George Curtis, Development Manager, City of Live Oak. Mr. Jefferson, this came about because of an analysis of the land use and zoning map that dates back to 1985. And what we found was in the early 80s, when all the zones were being contemplated, there wasn't any anticipation or thought of commercial growth on the north side of the city, because that was just a rock mine up there, basically a big wasteland. I don't think anybody thought that we would see commercial development all the way to the interstate at that time. So to make provision for commercial growth in land that was in the city limits, commercial zoning was applied out of the downtown to come to the areas that surround that into the residential neighborhoods. And I think the thought was, who's going to want these old turn-of-the-century homes, 20 or 30 years from now? They're going to be tearing them down and people will be building businesses. Well, people, number one, they like those homes. I think they enjoy living in them and they're really an asset to the community. Number two, we have lots of commercial property all over the place that could be developed and not take away the ability for these homes to continue. And we have, a housing need in the city, and we want to preserve and protect our housing to the greatest extent possible. So because the land use and zoning on these houses is commercial, it makes them non-conforming, and should they get destroyed, say coal or a fire or whatnot, hurricane, the zoning as it is now would not allow them to rebuild a residence there. They would be forced to make a business site or come one at a time before the council and apply for this zoning change. So we identified these properties, we sent out letters to anybody that might be interested in joining kind of a rezoning for these houses, and out of the 16 letters we sent out, we had 9 owners respond saying that they were interested in preserving the residential use of that property through land use and zoning, and so they signed notarized letters of authorization, basically naming the city to be their applicant to carry this forward. So you have a land use change on 9 parcels from commercial to residential, and then the next matter after this, the ordinance to follow this is the zoning change on those same properties from a commercial type zoning to a residential zoning. That's the same type of residential zoning that we see in the surrounding areas. And I'll just, for the record, note that this did come before the Planning and Zoning Board at a public hearing March 18th of 2024, and the Planning and Zoning